G'day all, this is Paul Chapman again from Integral Freedom and the conversation group Talking Trigrams. And just a reminder, we've got a group call again this Sunday, I think it's the 8th, is it? Yeah, the 8th of November. And like I said, I've just, as a conversation starter, and we don't even have to talk about this if someone's got something more interesting, but if they haven't, then we're going to do a conversation starter on the Four Trigrams, the Four Hexagrams that come from that, and in relation to climate change, and also how we can maybe transpose that over to human psychology. And I've made a few slides up just as an intro. So let's go to that. Okay. So like I said, it's Talking Trigrams every second Sunday of the month at 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. So for those of you who are not in the right time zone and don't wish to be up in the early hours of the morning, if you either join the mailing list or subscribe to the YouTube channel, then you'll get the recordings just naturally sent through to you. So we're going to look at these four trigrams: Chien Heaven, Kun Earth, Li Fire and Kan Water. And I thought perhaps we could just look at them again through maybe the elemental qualities, and then how they move through to their in this case their primary trigram of Chien, which is the first one, initiation, second one, responding, and here we got a combination, sorry, that's the primary hexagram as well, of fire, which is brightness, and the primary hexagram of water, which is darkness. And then they move into these four hexagrams, or when we combine them they do. This is the 11th and the 12th, the 63rd and the 64th hexagrams in the I Ching book, whose names are advanced, hindrance, already fulfilled and not yet fulfilled. And I thought we could look through the Fushi Gua, which is still a bit of an enigma to me. I know it's pre-heaven, and my own evaluation, not with any particular study or connection to the classics, but my own interpretation of using the Fushi Gua in the past has been through the internal process, the thought process. Whereas I've seen the King Wen's Gua more as the external world, the sensory world, and have applied that to feeling, especially when working with human psychology. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how heaven, earth, sun and moon, east and west, north and south, and be south in the northern hemisphere, south and north, fit into this equation. We could also bring in the circle. This is the resolution times of the 6 confirmations. So if we just start down here, the Xiaoyin pivot, this black circle line from 11 till 5 a.m., 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. Then we get the Dui Yin comes in here, 1 to 9, Xiao Yang 3 to 9, Tai Yang 9 to 3, Yang Ming 3 to 9, and then again underneath here is the Tai Yin, which comes through from 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. So there's a dynamic connection here, and you could say in regard to climate change, then we've got the evaporation cycle on the east side of the circle and the condensation cycle on the west. So this of course applies to human physiology and psychology as well, so that'd be worth having a bit of a play with. And then inside here there's Fushi's Gua. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then on the outside is King Wen's Gua. So there's obviously the trigrams have changed in their locations and positions. So it'd be interesting also to explore how those combine together if possible, and particularly in relation to the Chien and Li and Kun and Kan trigrams on this axis here. As everybody's knows, living in the world today, that the talk of climate change and how drastic a position we could say for the comfort and continuation of human life as we know it. And in a short time, within the next century, massive radical changes are afoot. And whether humanity or not can assist in that change only time will tell. And there are many experts out there that have quite a few pretty cool suggestions in how we can start to restore that life cycle, you could say. And in this diagram, let's get over here. Well, there's a few diagrams that's come from, I think it must be an education site in the UK. And this one's just saying that carbon dioxide here comes through, or carbon dioxide and water is emitted through volcanic activity. It's released via the industry that we use, via all forms of respiration from plants, and the effect of deforestation and the transformation of our plains or paddocks or fields, wherever you come, depending where you come from, how that's being transformed into dirt, basically. No life within the dirt, no microbes within the soil, no life except as it's given through chemical fertilization. So there's a massive change that we can implement if we're interested in that. And of course we have the water cycle, evaporation, we have carbon stored within the ocean and also deep within the sediment of the ocean. We have the carbon rooted, you could say, by all vegetation within their visible form, but also within their roots and how they put that into the earth as well. So there's kind of some really interesting correlations here, and again we'll look through the Fuxi and King Wen's Gua. There's just a couple of examples. This one's saying that slightly increased surface temperatures due to the increase of carbon in the atmosphere are increasing the amount of evaporation from the oceans. So as more water comes up into the atmosphere, that excess water also acts like a greenhouse gas because it also contains the carbon in it as well. And then we have to consider how this natural water cycle of evaporation to condensation and then back down through rain, how that works in our physical body and also in our psychology. The same kind of principle here for ice. We know that the ice is melting, and it's predicted that within the next 20 years there could be a completely ice-free summer on the poles, and the amount of methane and carbon that's stored within those land masses, which will also be released into the atmosphere and again increase the temperature. And then we have what's called a negative feedback, where the actual increase of carbon in the atmosphere is creating higher temperatures, which is encouraging greater plant growth. So as we know that plants absorb carbon dioxide down through into their roots and ground it in the earth. So there's a whole cycle of process that goes around and then ends up with a slight reduction in temperatures due to the reduction in carbon in the atmosphere. And I've just placed the Fuxi sequence starting with leaf fire as a possible movement through this cycle. So we start with fire, we go to Jun thunder, which is rapid growth, go to Shun wind, which is the potential, you could say, through this bottom line to pull that yang energy in back into the earth again, through water, and then Gun mountain, and finally at Kun earth. And then perhaps the elevation cycle again begins with Qian heaven through to A lake and back to leaf fire. So there's a potential movement through the Fuxi in this sequence. And this is the beginning of all of our lives as we in utero. This is a slide from Geneviève's Le Goff's Circle of Life training. If you're a herbalist and you're unfamiliar with this style, then definitely something worth, a course very well worthwhile taking. And this is just one of her slides when she's talking about breach, which I'm assuming why this UB67 was there, although I can't exactly remember. But I thought, how cool is that? You know, UB67 creates this the 44th hexagram again of encountering, which I talked about in the first introduction, which is the mutual hexagram for a few hexagrams, but in particular what I talked about last time was the 31st or 72nd hexagram of mutual influence. And it's the reaching yin basically is that the vertex of the baby's head is the utmost yang, the sun, and the perineum of the mother is the utmost yin, the full moon. And it's the attraction of a powerful full moon, you could say, that slowly brings this baby's head round to engage, ready for birth in this sequence. So here again we have these four trigrams of Chen Heaven, Li Fire, Calm Water and Kun Earth. And when you put it into King Wen's Gua, what I find fascinating is that Kun Earth is placed here just to the right of Li Fire, and the central line of Li Fire is said to be the essence, the pure yin of Kun Earth placed into the Qian trigram. And conversely then we have the pure yang energy placed in the center of Kun Earth. And this one also sits just preceding Calm Water. So I'm very interested to hear what others have to say about this progression in King Wen's Gua, and how we can relate that again to the condensing aspect through the Yang Ming into Tai Yin to feed the Xiao Yin, and then the consequent evaporation cycle, the movement up, the morning you could say, or the spring and summer, and how this again shows up in our psychology. Well, that's it for the slides. So again, I'll put a link below for the call, the Zoom call, and anything else I can remember. And look forward to seeing you on Sunday and hear what you've got to say. All right, now how do I stop this? Stop that. Good. All right, guys. Ciao.